I want to talk more about Group F for the World Cup. And in a previous video or videos, I called this group the Group of Balance because there are four very clear different tiers of how good each team is in Group F of the World Cup. It's Germany, Mexico, Sweden, South Korea. Germany is very clearly better than Mexico. Mexico is clearly better than Sweden. Maybe not by much, but they are noticeably better. And Sweden is better than South Korea. So I call this the group of balance because on the tier ladder, it's apparent who is where. But I wanted to dissect this group a bit and see what every team has to do to go through. I want to think of everyone's chances and my ultimate prediction of who will go through, even though it has not changed. So Germany should get 9 points. They usually don't, though. For some reason, Germany always drop points in their World Cup second games. It's kind of a well-known thing amongst German fans that they always drop points, almost always, in their second game. The exception coming in 2006, when they got a last-minute goal against Poland to win that match 1-0. However, that was on home soil. So maybe that helped with just the crowd atmosphere and just playing at home, With 2002, they drew the Republic of Ireland. 2006, they almost drew Poland. 2010, they lost to Serbia. 2014, they drew with Ghana. So will the trend continue? Will Germany stumble a bit in their second World Cup group game? They play Sweden, and I can see it happening because Sweden eliminated Italy in World Cup qualifying unexpectedly. And even though I think this is one of the worst Swedish teams in recent memory, they're capable enough of grinding a result from that game. I think they can hold Germany to a draw. Yeah, they knocked out Italy, but if you actually watched both legs and you put it into context, that was just as much as an Italian bottle job as it was Sweden pulling through. And that's not to take anything away from Sweden, it's just that Ventura had Italy playing really badly. There's really no person on this Swedish team that stands out to me as a star in the post-Zlatan era. I mean, Emil Forsberg is pretty good. I don't know if Kim Källström still plays for them. Jimmy Durmaz is all right. Granqvist. They have a couple of good players that are good on set pieces, winning aerial battles because of their height advantage, which will most certainly come into play against South Korea. So, Sweden got back to the World Cup. Good for them. They were gone since 2006. They eliminated Italy. They came through a qualifying group that had France and the Netherlands. But I think when you break it all into context, this Sweden team is not very impressive. They're just average. And I actually think that they could very well finish bottom of this group if they're not careful. For Sweden, their first game is against South Korea, and they absolutely must get 3 points. They have to get 3 points. If they don't get the full 3 points against South Korea in their first match, they already have 1 foot out the door of Russia. They're already halfway eliminated as far as I'm concerned. Same thing applies to Mexico. Mexico and Sweden, they both want to make a strong case to finish second in this group. They both have to beat South Korea. They have to. Whoever does and whoever doesn't, that team will be at an advantage or a disadvantage. Mexico plays Germany first, which could be a great thing for them because they're getting their hardest game by far out of the way. There's a chance that maybe they can catch Germany off guard since Germany is just coming into the tournament, although Germany tends to start off tournaments very well. So that might not happen. But still, for Mexico, their games gets easier easier after they play Germany. They also have the added benefit of having been at the Confederations Cup and having received a valuable lesson in getting smacked by Germany in the Confederations Cup. Now, that was a German B or C team, so this might be a radically different German side they come up against. But I also think that it'll be a huge gift for Mexico that they will have drawn the same team that eliminated them in the Confederations Cup, because Mexico was in a group in the Confederations Cup in 2013 with Brazil, and they lost to Brazil. They were placed in a World Cup group the next year with Brazil again, the host nation, and they eked out a 0-0 draw, becoming the only team to get a result against Brazil in that World Cup until the semifinals, when we know what happened. So history has sort of repeated itself. Mexico is playing an opponent in the Confederations Cup that eliminated them in their World Cup group now again. Could Mexico get a result against Germany? Could they get a draw? Could they start off strongly? I don't know. That remains to be seen. I think Mexico would have had a bigger chance if they were drawn into the F3 position, where they would play Germany second, both because of the fact of the reasons I said, and also because of Germany's tendency to drop points in the second game. I do think that if Mexico loses to Germany again, I don't think it's going to be by the same margin. I don't think they're going to lose by 3 goals. I think you should expect to see a tighter game. But honestly, German's going to German. I mean, these guys do not fall in line with superstition. A lot of people mention the World Cup winner's curse happened to France and Italy and Spain. I don't see it happening to Germany. I really don't see it happening to Germany. It did not happen to Brazil in 2006 when they entered the tournament as defending champions. I don't think it's going to happen to Germany when they enter 2018 as the defending champions. If there's 2 teams that I would bet my right arm on to do well in tournaments, it's Brazil and Germany. Just Germany's remarkable consistency in major tournaments is insane. So I don't think Germany's going to fall to the World Cup winner's curse. I do think they'll advance out of this group. I think they're going to win this group. And as of right now, I have them actually defending their title. So, I mean, that's subject to change as well as time goes on, as we get closer to the tournament. But anyway, Sweden, it's looking like, on paper, the last match between Mexico and Sweden, their last match, which is against each other, is going to determine who comes in second, most likely. And whoever needs whatever kind of result, whether it's Sweden or Mexico that needs a win, or one of them needs a tie, whoever has the advantage heading into that match will most likely advance behind Germany in second. Now, South Korea. They play Germany last, which is both a good and bad thing at the same time. Because if Germany wraps up 6 points, game to spare, already qualified for the next round, maybe they take a more relaxed approach to their final game against South Korea. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they play a Confederations Cup type of team, which if they do, that team, given how good Germany is, they should still beat South Korea. But anyway, the best thing South Korea can hope for would be for Germany to have got the maximum accumulated points, 6 points from those first 2 games, heading into the last match against them. If they don't, and Germany, as we have seen most times in the last few World Cups, Germany heading into the final group game with like 3 or 4 points, South Korea is in big trouble, because there will be a bigger sense of urgency for Germany to get the full points to finish on top of their group, especially considering that Germany's group is next to Brazil's. And if Germany were to slip up and finish in second, you'd be getting a Brazil versus Germany round of 16 match. So that's really bad news for South Korea if that happens. I'm sorry. South Korea's hope is they need to get a result from that first match against Sweden because from their standpoint, they're already the weakest team in this group, and their games get progressively harder because they play Sweden, then Mexico, then Germany. I mean, good lord. I could see South Korea coming out of this with 0 points. And I know South Korea, they're a good Asian team. They have the most pedigree of any Asian team in World Cup history. They've been here many times. They've qualified for every World Cup since 1986. But just like I mentioned that this is the worst Swedish team in recent memory, this is the worst South Korean team in recent memory. I don't like the way South Korea looks. I thought they were very fortunate to even qualify for the World Cup. They finished barely ahead of Syria, Uzbekistan, and China in their qualifying group, way behind Iran, who won that group comfortably. Yes, they have Son. I think he's over at Arsenal now. I'm not sure, but they don't look good. They really don't look good. I think they are by quite some margin the weakest side in this group. But I don't think South Korea will finish with 0 points. They need to get something from their first match against Sweden. And then I just playing against the intensity and an aggressive team like Mexico, I just don't think they can handle it. I just don't think they can. Best case scenario I can see for South Korea, best case scenario would be to get 4 points before they play Germany. Let's say they beat Sweden and tie Mexico, or tie Sweden and beat Mexico. Even if they get 4 points in their first 2 games, they play Germany last and they lose that game, that's still not guaranteed enough for them to go through, because sometimes 4 points from a win, a tie, and a loss is not enough to go through. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So for South Korea, especially if they play against Germany, if Germany needs to get a win in that last match, they probably need to get 6 points against Sweden and Mexico, win their first 2 games. And I see that as extraordinarily unlikely. So it's not looking good. How I think this is going to play out each individual match, I'm tempted to go with Mexico getting a result on Germany, but I don't think it's going to happen. I just think Germany's way too overkill. I think that maybe they'll win by like 1 or 2 goals instead of scoring 4 on Mexico like they did at the Confederations Cup. I think Germany will beat Mexico. I think Sweden and South Korea will tie. I think Germany and Sweden will tie. I think Mexico will beat South Korea. I think Germany will beat South Korea. And I think either Mexico will beat Sweden or that game will be another tie. So I put this on paper, and I actually have Sweden going out while not losing a single game, which is not so uncommon in World Cups. It's happened a few times. I actually have Sweden getting 3 draws and going out on 3 points because they don't have very much attacking firepower up front, but they're also a good defensive side and very physical. And if they don't get the win against South Korea in the first match, I think they're in big trouble. Even if Mexico loses to Germany and they're on 0 points, I would still favor Mexico to go through eventually. So I have Germany with 7 points, Sweden with Mexico with 4 points, Sweden with 3 points, and South Korea with 1 point. I don't want to give South Korea 0 points, but I could very easily conceivably see South Korea finishing with 3 losses. So yeah, Germany and Mexico will go through, in my opinion. They should go through, but Sweden could cause a surprise to Germany potentially. Maybe Sweden can come in second. I think they're strong contenders to come in second, but just for now, for the time being, I don't think Sweden will come through this group. But yeah. So leave a comment below, like, subscribe. That'll be all for tonight. Hopefully I see you tomorrow, God willing. Until then, have a good night. Much love and peace out. What are your specific match predictions for Group F? Comment below. So I'll see you around. Till then, peace.